All right. That looks like we're getting going. So you're somebody who's creative. You probably got ADHD. I think at this point we all do. Honestly, cell phones are just sucking our brains away. And every time you sit down to do something, it's so easy to pick up that phone and look at stuff. It's so easy to get distracted. I know I find that, and I'm sure you do too. So stick with me for a few minutes. We're going to talk about three things that you need in order to help you maintain and get focused so that you can get some things done. Then we're going to dive into a live co working session, which you can either join me here, right here on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching on, especially if this is a recording of the live broadcast. Just stick with it and just use that focus session for yourself during that time. And if you are joining me live, then you can actually go on to my live co-working session space, which is in Zoom. To get to that, you just type into your browser work.totalmastermind.com and you can follow that. And if you check out just totalmastermind.com, you'll find at this point, as we're doing the live broadcast, there's nothing on the page itself. But the work.totalmastermind.com will take you into a Zoom session. And very shortly, I'm going to open up that Zoom call. And we're going to be able to do some live co-working together there. And I'm planning to make that a more regular thing. All right, let's jump into the three things that you need if you are an ADHD creative person like myself, or really anybody who has trouble staying focused. Clearly, the first thing that you're going to need in order to stay focused is going to be to have like a real goal, something that you're actually working towards, something that keeps you on track. If you don't have something keeping you on track, something that you an end goal, then if you don't have something to go towards, it's real easy to just do whatever comes up in your face, right? For example, if you are looking at, um, you want to be able to write a book. Every time you're thinking about doing something else, what's going to pop into your mind is, I should really be writing that book, But if you don't at least have that, I should really be doing this thing, what's going to keep you from doing something else? You're just going to do whatever. And then you're going to go through days and weeks and months and years of just TV and distraction and social media and blah, 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 right? So having something that is your goal, something you're working towards, is really important. I'm going to get a little deeper into this on a future call, but my basic workflow for knowing where I'm going, I like to actually create like a very long-term goal, then shorter-term goals, and right up to today's goals kind of thing. So like long-term being like 40 years from now. I'm 47 as I'm recording this, but when I'm 87, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want to be doing with my life at that moment? What's happening to me financially, emotionally, spiritually, relationships, work, money, all of these different things. Um, and then I kind of take it back to something like, 20 years from now, 10 years from now. And then I can kind of adjust the goals to see, okay, well, what makes sense? Where do I need to be at that point in order to reach that next goal? To make it so it makes sense. And then I can keep coming back to 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, and then quarterly, what's happening in each quarter over the next year. Then I take it down to what's happening in the next 3 months in order to reach that quarterly goal. And then what do I need to do each week this month in order to reach that monthly goal? And what do I need to do each day this week? And so then that way, once a year, I can kind of revamp or relook at the future goals and see, am I on track? What do I need to do to improve? Each quarter, then I can see, am I on track for this year? Each month, I can see, am I going to hit this quarter? Each week, am I going to hit the month? And each day, am I going to hit the weekly goals? Now, it's hard to sometimes stay focused on that and keep that. But if you can keep that regularly coming up, that will keep you on track. All right, so that was a pretty good overview of the overall goal setting. How do you set that long term plan? And break it down into something that what am I going to do today or this week? All right, so that's the what's going to keep your mind coming back to, oh, there's something I need to be doing. All right. Uh, the next thing that you need, and I'm already forgetting because I didn't write any of this down. Um, this is a little bonus thing, but something else you need to be doing is you need to be able to just jump in and make progress on something. This isn't the second thing, but it's just something that really helps. In this particular case, I've been thinking about doing this live stream for a number of months, actually. This has been kind of popping up in the back of my mind. Hey, I should really do this live stream and set up this co-working thing. And today I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I've got a couple of projects that I'm like deep into, and I'm finding myself distracted today. And so I said, why don't I jump in and just make this live stream happen? Set up that co working. And even if I only do the co working for an hour, that hour could really help me and could really help a few other people. So this is an opportunity for us to do some co-working together and make some progress. So I'm really looking forward to if anybody joins me on that. And even if you don't, I'm going to go through the process anyways. Sometimes that's just the important piece too, is when you're diving into a project, even if you don't know if you've got some help, just dive in, stick with that process right through until you've completed it, because you're going to learn things, you're going to get better at stuff, and that sort of thing. All right. So the three things you need for ADHD creatives. Number one was that you need to have some sort of a goal you're working towards. Thing number two, what was it? Um, oh man, I am just all over the map. Number two, um, yeah, your goals give you that clarity. Uh, I know what number three is. What was number two? What do I need? What helps me stay on track? Um, uh, this is funny. This is how a live stream goes if you just jump in and don't take too much time to prepare. Um, you know what? I'm going to jump into number three, and that'll probably remind me of what number two was. So um, you need to be able to have accountability, right? And so it's uh, having somebody either looking over your shoulder or somebody that you can check in with from time to time. That reminds me what number two was. Perfect. I'm going to come back to number three. Number two is setting solid deadlines. Whenever I have a project that has an end deadline, something that I need to do, and so I'm a filmmaker, and when I'm looking for funding for a film, quite often grants and things like that will have a deadline. And it'll usually, very often, it's midnight. So it'll be, let's say midnight on March 1st. And so I know, okay, I've got till midnight March 1st. And often what will happen is I won't work on it. I won't work on it in January, even though I'm kind of aware that it's coming up. I'm like, I'm too distracted with other things. February, I'm still distracted. The last week of February, I realized, oh my gosh, this thing's coming up in a week. I've really got to do something with it. And so that's when I'm really starting to percolate on what am I pitching? What am I doing? Now, if I was being practical and being the most useful for it, I would actually start this quite a bit earlier. I would start this in February or even January or even December and begin to film my pitching materials, my pitching videos. I would start to create my pitching documents, and then I'd be able to actually send it to the organization that I'm pitching to early and say, hey, is this what you're looking for? Is there anything that I need to adjust so that it will be more, so that it doesn't get discounted right away by the judges because I want to make sure that all the pieces are in there properly. And quite often, those organizations will have people that are in the office that are happy to look over your pitch like weeks before the deadline so that you can kind of adjust it and make sure that it's solid by the time of the deadline. But I've never done that because I'm always very last minute because that deadline is what makes me focus. And so, uh, somebody who's staying on track and being able to get things done ahead of time, um, somebody who doesn't have a million things distracting them, will be able to work without as solid a deadline. They'll get it done weeks or even months in advance. But for somebody like me, who can be very ADHD, very out of focus, the deadline is really, really um, important to me. But it also means that I might not get the most complete thing done before the deadline because I'm scrambling at the last minute. I think it's the Pareto principle that the time that you complete a thing is dictated by how much time you actually have to complete the thing. And so if you have 2 months to do a thing, it'll take you 2 months. If you have 2 minutes to do the thing, you're going to finish it in 2 minutes. It's just going to be a very different version. Um, and so that's something to note as well. So if I have a really solid deadline, suddenly everything else that's going on in my life can be pushed to the side and I can focus on that deadline. But if there's some wiggle room, if I think that I have time that it's only going to take me X amount of time, like let's say one of these pitches, usually it's going to take me a day or two. And usually the last day, it's like the last 12 hours. I'm just buckled down, sitting in front of my computer, going, barely eating anything, barely, leaving my desk because I'm focused and I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I've got to get this done. Redoing videos over and over until it's perfect, trying to edit something together, trying to do all the text. And I'm just really just hunkered down. Um, and everything else just goes away, right? Social media isn't a thing when I'm in that like super focused state. All these other distractions that are every day distract me go away when I'm like at the 11th hour deadline. And why is that? Why can't I keep that focus the rest of the time? And I think that a lot of that is just because of how we work as an ADHD person. It's kind of the um, whatever's the thing that we see in front of us, that's what we're focused on, and everything else can just go away. But when we are focused, that, wherever we're focused on, that's where we're at. Everything else goes away, disappears into the background, into the mist of existence, whatever that might be. um, yeah. So I had another thought on that, but I might come to it another time. So, and you've probably noticed this yourself when you have a really like looming deadline. Suddenly, you're able to stay more and more focused, and you get more and more frustrated by distractions because uh, you just want to stay on task, right? Whereas if you've got a lot of time, or you feel like you've got a lot of time, you won't stay on task. That's another piece of that thing is time awareness. Those of us who are a little bit more ADHD and easily distracted, our time awareness is a little different. Um, for me, for example, if I'm driving somewhere and I'm going to pick somebody up to go to a thing or something, um, when I get in the car, I'll send them a message saying I'll be at your place in about 8 minutes, right? Like I'm going to give them a very exact time because for some reason, when I'm directly going on this path, I know exactly, like I can almost exactly put down what the amount of time is. But if I have enough time to make a stop somewhere in the middle, then I might tell them, yeah, I should be there in about 10 minutes. But then on the way, I'm thinking, you know what? I could stop and refuel my car, or I could stop to do this other thing, or I've got this thing I'm supposed to drop off to somebody and it's kind of on the way. I think I'll do that. And now, instead of getting there in 8 minutes, I'm actually going to be 20 minutes late because I've stopped to do something else and it's thrown me off task, and I didn't plan properly. And this happens to me quite frequently. Whatever I'm doing, that's where I stay focused. You know, if you get me into a conversation and I'm supposed to be somewhere, I'm going to enjoy the conversation instead of getting where I need to be. So this is a thing that can happen when your deadline is just a little further than the minimum time you have. Like if you are, I have to do this thing right now, you're going to stay focused. You're going to get it done. You're going to work your buns off. You're going to work faster and faster and faster towards that deadline. But if you think, oh, I've got an hour of work to do, but I have 2 hours left to do it, you're going to be distracted for that first hour. And then until you get to that time where it's like, oh no, I've got an hour of work to do and I literally have 1 hour to do it, that's when it's going to hit. The other thing that kind of works sometimes for me, and this is again kind of a bit of a challenge, is I'll think, I should have gotten this task done yesterday, and I'm supposed to be at work at 10 o'clock. And I won't have time after work. I'm not going to have time to do this, and it needs to be there for tomorrow, or it needs to be done for midnight or whatever. And so at 9 o'clock, I'm supposed to be at work at 10. I'm going to sit down and be like, I'm going to work on as much of it as I can now, try to get it done. And suddenly I'm able to stay focused. But now as I'm getting up to that time I've got to leave, I'm like working really hard. And if it takes me 15 minutes to get to work from when I leave, I think, okay, I can work until 9:45. The problem is I will work until 9:45 and I still haven't put my shoes on. I still haven't made my lunch. I still haven't let the dogs out to pee. There's all these other details that I just kind of like ignore, thinking, yeah, I can squeeze that in during this 45 minutes that I have, but I never do because I'm focused on the project. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've got to leave, but I've got these 5 other tasks that I need to do that are going to take 15 minutes, and I'm going to be late for work. Happens all the time. So get focused, stay focused, figure out deadlines, and begin to set yourself deadlines for things that will keep you on task. So some strategies that I've heard of to set a deadline, kind of a fake deadline for yourself, because there's obviously deadlines like this needs to be submitted at midnight tonight. No submissions are accepted after that. Okay, that needs to be done by that time. Or we've got to send this report to the management team at 5 o'clock today. So you have to have the report submitted to your boss by a certain time so they can double check it and ask for any changes before it goes up to management or something like that. There you're getting like a deadline, and it'll keep you on task. But what if it's, a task that doesn't have like a deadline of like 2 hours from now? What if it's a task where it is that I want to work on my pitch, but this pitch isn't due until midnight 2 months from now? What's going to keep me from being distracted today? And so some strategies can be using something like a Pomodoro timer, where it's just basically setting a timer and saying, okay, I'm going to work for the next 40 minutes or the next hour or whatever. And as long as this timer is rolling, I don't touch my phone. I don't touch social media. I don't open up another tab on my computer. I am staying focused on this task. Yeah, so that can be a way to do it. I know there's other strategies as well, but let's just say that for now, right? Setting yourself a timer and sticking to it and saying what you will and won't do during that time. All right. So number one was setting yourself goals that motivate you and that inspire you and keep you moving forward. And number two is having an end time or a deadline, and whether that's something that's a real deadline, like this has to be submitted by midnight on this day, or whether it's kind of not fake deadline. I guess fake deadline is the right word, where you're creating that Pomodoro timer or something that you have 40 minutes, and during that time, you're not going to do these distractive things. You're going to focus on that. And then at the end of that timer, when you've completed working for 40 minutes, now you can do something distracting. Whether you do one or the other of those those are some ways to set some deadlines, um, and keep yourself focused. Now, the third thing is having accountability. And this can be a challenge in our world where we're often working alone in things, and being accountable to others can be a real challenge, because we're often working alone. We're more and more siloed these days if we're working from home. If you're working in an office, it can be a little easier to stay focused, because you know that you've got a coworker who's at a desk nearby. If they can turn around at any time and see your computer screen and see if you're just watching YouTube or on Facebook, if you've got your phone out every time they turn around, you start to feel a little bit uncomfortable, like, oh my gosh, I keep getting caught on Facebook. I should probably stay focused, right? That can help you to stay focused, knowing that there's eyes around. But if there's no eyes watching you, it's real easy to get taken off task. And so, um, that accountability can come in a few different forms. It could be having something like an accountability coach, where it's a more formal arrangement where you might tell your coach at the beginning of the week, hey, this is what I'm working on this week. And your coach says, cool, I'm going to check in with you at the end of the week. So, to see how your progress is on that, right? They don't actually, like, that coach doesn't need to actually uh, have a stake in whatever it is you're working on. It's just the stake that you are working. And it helps you to stay focused, because you're like, at the end of the week, I don't want to have the embarrassment of telling them I didn't do anything, right? Having a coach can keep you on task throughout the week. Um, Also, uh, so that's a coach. The next level from that could be having a friend or family member, a partner, spouse, or a coworker, something like that, and asking them, hey, uh, I'm kind of trying to get this thing done, so I'm gonna get this to you by this day, or I'm gonna work on this tonight. Um, if you catch me on my phone, can you just remind me, hey, are you working on the thing? I give you permission to kind of uh, check in on me from time to time, and to call me out if I'm looking distracted. Okay, so now anytime I hear my partner walking around the house, if I've got my phone up, I'm gonna, you know what? I should stop doing what I'm doing and focus, right? And it's gonna just those little moments to take my focus back to what I'm working on, um, and that sort of thing. And so that can help. Um, and coworkers, again, as well, if they happen to be sitting at a desk nearby, and you say, hey, you know what, I'm finding myself distracted a lot. If you see me on my phone, can you just like, or say, are you working? Yeah. And I give you permission to ask me these questions, and I'll stay focused. If you need help with that, I can do the same for you. If I see you distracted, I'll maybe ask, hey, what are you working on? And we can, keep each other on track. Um, so you could do something like that. Another thing which I absolutely love, I've done this before and I found it absolutely valuable, is to get accountability partnerships, right? Or accountability, um, like, well, I guess that's what I just talked about, is accountability partnerships. But co-working sessions is the thing I'm thinking of. And in a co-working session, um, we really set down some rules about what we're going to do, and we all kind of create like a little bit of a. This can help. So this is two pieces. You can almost take this as like another thing that can help you to stay focused, is to set a ritual down of during your thing. And this is something we often do during a co-working session, is we'll have like a bit of a ritual. It's nothing like witchy or anything. It's just a ritual of taking my phone and putting it like outside of the room, putting it somewhere else so I can't pick up the phone, turning the ringer off, turning the sound off, so I'm not hearing any notifications. I'm not gonna just pick it up just to check something because it's outside of the room. If I need to do some sort of a calendar thing, like I'm in the middle of my work and I realize I need to add something to my calendar, instead just make a note of it. And when the hour is done, or whatever the time frame is done, then I can grab my phone and I've got a note saying add this into the calendar, right? Um, and just keeping the phone away can be part of the ritual. Closing up all of the tabs on your computer that you don't need for the actual work that you're working on in the next hour can be part of your ritual. Taking a couple of deep breaths and relaxing, and getting focused can be part of the ritual. It could be that maybe before you start a co-working session, you go to the washroom. Maybe you grab yourself a quick snack, you refill your water bottle, right? And maybe these are some steps that you take. And then that way, when you sit down, there isn't something about to take you away and distract you and pull you back towards that distracting activity, right? Because if you're thirsty, your water's right there. If you need a snack, well, you've already had a snack. You're good, or maybe you've got some food right there. But like, whatever you can do to get rid of distractions and stay focused on your project, that's really important. And let's see. So here's how these co-working sessions that I've been on have worked in the past, and how I'd like to invite you to join me on some co-working sessions, because we can keep each other focused and accountable. So uh, ones that I've done in the past, we've done it on Zoom, but you could do it you could get together with friends in whatever um, um, live stream chatting sort of a situation. You could even start up a Twitch chat or a YouTube chat or whatever, a live stream, and just work while you've got people jumping into your live stream. Now, quite often, because I have seen people do this, I have seen live streams that are people doing a session where they're doing some focused studying or focused work, um, and they've got people that are chatting with them. They'll stay focused away from the chat from time to time, but once in a while they'll glance over and they might kind of quickly skim through the chat and comment. I think that could be distracting, but as long as like you're not going into other social medias, you're not doing other things on there, um, that could also help you to stay focused and stay present, because you're connecting with people that are um, on your chat and they're focused on you. If they're being disruptive, then you could just kick them out of the chat too. But if they're supportive, that's great, because they might ask you something about what you're studying, or they might say, oh, this is, I'm going to also work on some stuff, and this is what I'm working on this hour. When we do it on Zoom, typically what we'll do is right around the 1 hour mark, or wherever, at some point each hour or each period of time, we'll let new people in. So if there's anybody who's wanting to join a co-working session, we invite them in at a certain point in the hour, and then we do a little kind of a talk through of what we're going to do. So it might be things like, um, we might start with, how did the last hour go? How did it go? Did you have good progress? And you might just make a little chat text of like, yes, I succeeded in completing my project, or I made a lot of progress, or um, something like that, right? You might take a little breath. You might say, hey, if you need to use the washroom, you need to grab a snack, you need some water, now's a good time to do that, so everybody can kind of step away, come back. You might do a little breathing exercise, might do a few other steps to kind of get rid of distractions, like putting your phone to the side, or putting taking all the notifications off your computer. Even cleaning your desk might be a piece of it. And so you're doing all these little steps to try to make it so that you're ready to stay focused. And then we go into that focused work time, and everybody just keeps their cameras on, but we shut off our sound so that you don't hear somebody's dog barking, or if somebody's spouse comes into the room and they're having a conversation, we don't need to hear that. Even when we're super focused, there's going to be distractions. The kids are going to start fighting, and somebody's got to get up and go and deal with it and come back. But as long as the sound's off, it's not distracting to us. But for those of us that are working and are staying focused, we know that at any moment somebody might glance up at the screen and see what we're doing. And so if we're looking at our phone, uh, we're going to be very self-conscious of that, right? If you had to get up and use your phone, you could really quickly grab it, make a call. Totally understandable. Sometimes you have to do that as part of your working session. Um, but then when you're done that call, it's going to be real obvious if you start scrolling, right? And so having that camera on reminds you, okay, no, I got to put this away, get this out of here, and so you quickly put it away and get back to your focused work because at any point somebody might glance up and look at you. 99% of the time, nobody's looking at you. Nobody's actually paying attention to you, but there's a psychological thing when you think there's a chance somebody might catch you just being distracted and doing something that isn't your work. And so we all tend to really focus when we're in a co-working session. So there might be just 2 people in a co-working session. There might be 100 people in a co-working session. And we'll be working for, say, 50 minutes. And then, we have a quick, how'd everybody do? What's working and what isn't? Let's get our snacks and our water refreshed. If you do need to check your phone, you can, but you got to put it away again. And then, okay, get rid of all those distractions, put it all away, sit down, take a couple of deep breaths, and get focused back into the next session. And that works really well. And so I would like now to invite you to join me in a co-working session. If that's something that interests you, I'm going to open up the thing now. And I know as I'm recording this, as I'm doing this live stream, I know that right now there's nobody actually on the live stream right now watching. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to still open up the Zoom session. I do have a friend that said she might join, so I'm going to send her the link as well. And the link is the link is work.totalmastermind.com. Okay. And it's a Zoom link. I'll open it momentarily. All right. Cool. All right. So that's that. I'm just gonna open up that Zoom link right now. Okay, we're gonna get this started. Okay. And I'm actually going to take this moment to step away, which is awkward, but I'll be right back because I need to use the washroom before we get started. So I'm going to step away and I'm going to come back and we're going to continue the session. So I'm going to just pause this. I'm going to put a little text on here somewhere. Let's go with for a moment. I will be right back. All right. So we're going to do. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to switch to this. There we go. Okay, cut to that. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to step away for a moment. I'm going to be right back, and then we're going to get into this Zoom co-working session. All right, see you in a moment. All right. I realized I forgot to mute this microphone when I stepped away, but there we go. Okay. I'm just going to check and see. All right. Here's the other thing. I'm just going to add in a note here. I'm going to create another note. Join the co-working session live at work.totalmastermind.com. All right. Work.totalmastermind.com. All right. Okay, so yeah, if you join me at work.totalmastermind.com, that's awesome. I'm just going to create another thing here. We're going to add. Okay, I'm just doing a little bit of prep here for another piece here. So we're going to add in. That. And all right. That is. Okay. All right. Perfect. There we go. Just did a little thing here to create a little text box there. And you know what? I might even just spread this out a little bit. And I'll just leave it. Okay. Okay. Perfect. All right. See, this is what happens when we're trying to create something on the fly, is figuring out, how's this gonna work? What's this gonna look like? All right. So if you want to join the live co-working session, just go to work.totalmastermind.com and you'll be able to join live. If I'm not live at that moment because you're watching a replay, that's totally fine. Just hit the follow button and like button, whatever buttons you got on your particular thing, and then you'll be able to join live at a future time. I just realized something with the way I've set this up. It's going to make it a little difficult if I happen to put this onto a shorts or some other sort of streaming. So I'm just going to tighten this little box up. This is preparing to be able to use some of this for other content. So there we go. All right. So yeah, join me at work.totalmastermind.com if you're interested in joining. That would be great. Come on in. And all right, I'm just going to get this Zoom set up. I've got a different camera set up for Zoom here. So, all right. Yeah, that's not terrible. Okay, perfect. Okay, well, as perfect as it's going to be. I'm good enough with that. All right. So I'm going to keep this open on here. And what we'll do is I'm just going to take you through the process that we're going to go through for a co-working session. All right. And even though I don't have anyone in the co-working session at the moment, I'm just going to go through it anyway. So one of the things that we like to do in a co-working session is to just comment or say something that we've, if we've completed something, or kind of how the last little while has gone. If this is being your first time joining and watching, you can go ahead and mention if there's anything that you've been working on, and go ahead and make a comment of that. And then if there's anything that you are prepping to work on, uh, you can start to set your intentions for the next hour as well. But for now, we'll just say, if you've got something you've been working on, throw that in the comments here on YouTube or whatever platform you're looking at. Uh, the next step is going to be to go ahead and do some prep to get ready for the next hour. So if you do need to refill your water, grab your water, give it a refill. If you need to grab a snack, if you need to take care of anything, go ahead and take care of those things. Boy, I bet that sounded like some great ASMR as I took a sip right there without muting. One of those things I'll learn to get better at with live streaming is muting myself when I'm about to do something like that. All right, just gonna switch my posture here, cross my legs. Sometimes I do that. All right. The next thing, once you've got some water and you're all settled in and ready to go, is to get rid of all your distracting tabs. Start to close up some tabs. Now, if this is your first co-working session, what you could do is you could actually. This isn't the most recommended thing, but I understand how this works, and this is something that I think I might actually do during this session. Um, Something that is a good idea is to, you know, close up all those tabs. Now, don't be afraid to close them up. You might have 60 tabs, 100 tabs open. I know I do. I probably have that many. You could take a co-working session to actually try to close all those tabs. As you're closing them, you can bookmark things that you might want to come back to. You could save tabs that you want to come back to at some point. But if you're on, for example, I'm on a PC and I've got all my tabs are in Chrome. And if I just click the X button on all of my Chrome windows, I can go back into my history and I can tell it to just open up that window that had 51 tabs open, and it'll just reopen that whole window. So if at some point I think, oh man, there was a bunch of tabs that I really needed access to, I could go back in and just click to reopen it. It's going to put you right back into distraction mode. I don't necessarily recommend it, but um, I do recommend just knowing that you can just safely close everything and know that it's easy to find again later. So you can go into your history and find those tabs. You can also, I think, choose the individual tabs that you want to open. So you might go into your history to look and find, oh, what have I been looking at? What have I been working on? And what was that thing that I was working on last week? Where can I find that? You can go back to the day you were working on it, and it should have that tab in your history. As long as you don't delete your history. I know some people do that, if they're working on private stuff or whatever, or if they're not working on their home computer, it's good to clean up your history. But that's a way that you can go back in and find all your tabs that you've been working on. And so don't be afraid. Just hit close all your tabs. Just close them all up. And then if there's certain things that you're going to need access to, just reopen that, right? When you reopen Chrome or reopen whatever, if you need to Google Docs or something like that, just open up the specific Google Docs you need for the project that you're working on. But if you did want to use the first round or two of co-working to try to get caught up on some stuff, totally understandable, or to clean up some stuff. So like in my case, if you take a look to the side here, you've probably noticed I've got this messy chair full of stuff. And if you looked around my office, you would see more piles of mess. And I made a decision a long time ago that if there's piles of mess, just work around it. But every so often, I go, I've got to get like down to the floor here and get this cleaned up. And so once in a while, I will like take everything out of the office, do a cleanup, just bring back in what I need, and try to like do that tidy up process. So maybe your first couple of co-working sessions, maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe you're going through stuff and tidying it up and just preparing yourself to be able to work more efficiently, organizing your stuff. Uh, there's nothing wrong with that, unless you're like have a deadline for something and you're using this to hit that deadline, in which case just leave that stuff where it is and just focus on your deadline. But if you have if you're not tight on a deadline and you want to use this time to clean up, go for it. Do it up. That's totally fine. Um, if you want to do with your tabs, go through each tab and uh, make some notes about what you're interested in. Uh, save the tabs. Be able to come back to some sort of an idea. Like if you had a, let's say, a stock trading tab open to something and you were kind of tracking something or you're kind of interested in maybe checking in on something, you could make a note somewhere in a to-do list, and say, oh yes, I was tracking this stock and this is the link to it, and then you can just put the link in there and then you can close that tab so it's not distracting you, you're not glancing up at it all the time. That can help a lot. And just having it in a list instead of as a tab that can grab your attention and pull you off track. It just, anything you could do to lower the amount that you're pulled off track. Um, then make yourself a bit of a list of some of the things that you want to do and what's the number one thing, the thing that's going to move the needle the most, or the thing that's the most important task, and the most urgent task. We'll talk about urgent important at some point, but that can help you a bit. And pick a task. And don't pick that I'm going to write an entire novel in the next hour. Pick a task that you can complete in the next hour, right? So if your goal is to write a novel, then perhaps your task might be to um, uh, create like a short summary of the book or a short description of the novel, right? So you kind of, or maybe some character descriptions, because you might have some main characters that you think you're going to have in this novel, and so you might just for the next hour work on some character descriptions. It may even just be the description of the lead character. It might be you might work on the outline, right, which is kind of going to be what's going to happen at various moments in the story, and just have that outline so that you've got that start to things. And then the next hour, maybe you might actually take the first piece of that outline, the first step in the novel, and begin to flesh that out with a bigger outline for a chapter, and then be able to write that chapter, in the third hour or something like that. Like that might be a process that might help you to just get started and stay on track. All right. So for this process, let's get rid of those tabs. Let's get rid of distractions. Take your cell phone. If you're watching this on your cell phone, well, then maybe you've got to keep your cell phone around. But if you can instead, join the Zoom on something, Zoom, you're going to stay a little bit more focused. Whereas if you're on YouTube or something like that and you're watching a replay, you may begin to see some ads and stuff like that. Unfortunately, if you're watching the replay and there isn't a live co-working session in progress, your best bet is going to be on the replay. All right. And what else? But if you're not actively using the phone to be able to engage in this process, then take that phone, get it out of the room, put it to the side, put it somewhere else, take it away so that you are not distracted by your phone. All right. And finally, let's just take a big deep breath and get ready to work together. So let's take a 4 count in, hold it for 4, exhale for 4. Okay, so Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Now take a moment and type in the chat or type in the comments what it is that you want to work on during the next hour. And we're going to stay focused for an hour. And I'm going to turn off my sound. We're going to go quiet. I might put on a little bit of some focus music to just kind of something to kind of keep your mind a little bit engaged in the background. If you want that on, great. If you don't, that's fine. I might just do that just to see how that goes. Let me know if you like it or don't like it. And then, yeah. And then once you've typed in what you're going to work on, then go ahead and get to work.
I woke up at 5 a.m. for 365 days in a row, and I'll never do it again. The idea
This focus music is on the Green Red Productions YouTube page. So, yeah, enjoy and stay focused working on your project. We'll come back to in about 50 minutes or something.